Nostalgia. Great, isn't it? Isn't it funny how reminiscing about the good old days can make you feel so happy? When your only care in the world was Saturday morning cartoons and finally beating that video game. Well, welcome to my video series where we are going to do just that, with a look back at the great and sometimes not so great games of our past. Hi, I'm the Deadly Spud and this is Hey, remember the game? And we shall get this going with one of the greatest games of all time. Oh yes, Streets of Rage 2. Yes! My God, I love this game. If just hearing this theme puts a smile on your face like it does mine, then we are going to be great friends. Well, you know, metaphorically. For those of you that might not know, Streets of Rage 2 is a side-scrolling beat-em-up game published by Sega and developed by an ad hoc team for their Mega Drive console, or the Genesis for our American viewers. Interestingly, whilst making the game, the programming team found the Mega Drive cartridge couldn't quite do everything they wanted. So to make it possible for them to include more features and to get an additional memory cache, they just decided to improve the cartridge's specs. Released in Japan as Bare Knuckle 2, The Requiem of the Deadly Battle, which, even though it's a bit of a mouthful, let's face it, that's a damn cool name, and it's actually referenced in the game itself by these arcade machines in one of the levels. It was originally released in January 1993 in the UK, and was met with nothing but critical acclaim from top video game magazines and fans alike, and even today it is easy to see why. Everything about it is great. The controls are smooth, the animation is crisp, and we can't talk about how great this game is without mentioning this man. The musical composer genius, Yuzo Koshiro. I mean, he's even named on the title screen, they love him that much. In fact, the soundtrack received just as much praise as the game itself. People could not believe how good it sounded back in the day, especially due to the audio limitations of the console at the time. But we went mad for its techno chiptune tracks, and can you blame us? Just listen to this. Just brilliant. One of the best ending themes ever. The reception of the soundtrack was actually so high at the time, Mr. Koshiro was even hired by clubs to DJ the tracks for them, because the 90s was a strange time. Now, in case you didn't know, Streets of Rage 2 is a direct sequel to its predecessor, which sees it carrying on 1 year after the original's climax, with our heroes Axel Stone, Adam Hunter and Blaze Fielding, who have some of the most 90s names ever, meeting up at their favourite night spot and reminiscing about how they beat Mr. X and his criminal gang known as the Syndicate. Since then, Adam has joined the police force and lives in a small house with his younger brother, Eddie Skate Hunter, or Sammy as he is known in the bare knuckle version. Axel has left the city and works as a part-time bodyguard, and Blaze, who has also left the city, is now working as a dance instructor. That's right, even though she helped bring down a criminal empire by kicking 10 bells of crap out of guys twice her size, we can't give a woman a cool job like bodyguard or law enforcement now, can we? Oh no, that just wouldn't be ladylike. Carrying on, the following afternoon after their night out, Blaze receives an emergency phone call from Skate, who tells her that after returning home from school, he finds his house in a right mess and his brother is missing. Attached to the front door of his house is a photo of Adam chained to a wall next to Mr. X. Realising, after this massive clue, that Mr. X has returned and is out for revenge. Blaze wastes no time in telling Axel about the situation, and the pair vow to rescue their friend. This time with the help of Adam's brother Skate, because who wouldn't let a possibly teenage child on rollerblades engage in fistfights with muscle-bound maniacs? And they are joined by Max Thunder, a professional wrestler with the greatest name of all time, and is well up for joining the fight and body slamming anybody he can get his giant hands on. I mean, seriously, look at his paws. They're as big as this guy's head. The gameplay itself is very similar to its predecessor, where one or two players face off against waves of enemies, bosses and sub-bosses, whilst using their martial arts skills and any weapons that they can get their hands on along the way. Each character offering a slightly different style of play with their own strengths and weaknesses, with Max and Skate having the most obvious differences. Max moves much slower but does more damage and doesn't stun as easily, and Skate moves a lot quicker on his rollerblade but does less damage to his opponents, so you might have to rely on stun locking them if you get stuck. This time around they also included more powerful unique attacks called blitz attacks, which you did by double tapping a direction and pressing attack. And they replaced the police car attack from the first game with special attacks that would either do an area attack around you hitting surrounding enemies, or deal extra damage to a single area by pressing a direction first. But unlike the police car from the first game, you can do these moves whenever you want, but it will take health off of you when used, so use it sparingly. Or go nuts on a boss after you've lost countless lives to him and you don't care anymore. Either is good. And all the animations for these moves are excellently executed. In fact, every animation is great. The special moves, the standard combo attacks, the grapples, the whatever my man Max is doing here to this guy's head, all brilliant. One random thing I like as well is that if you leave the characters alone without touching the controller, they do nothing. Just bounce a bit because they're tough hard guys and a child waiting for their next fight. Apart from Blaze, who actually has an idle animation. Leave her standing for a few seconds and she flicks her hair, which they clearly had to put in because you know what those women are like when it comes to playing with their hair. But all jokes aside, this game is still amazing and brings back such fond memories for me, and it will always be classed as the best game in the side-scrolling beat-em-up genre for all us old gamers. And for those of you right now saying, "No, that's Final Fight," well, to you I simply say this: no. No. Bad viewer. But honestly, Final Fight is a great game and a series that will be in a later video, but it's just not quite got the magic of Streets of Rage 2. Well, there you go. Thank you so much for joining me in this walk down memory lane. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like and feel free to hit the subscribe button. Maybe drop some memories in the comments or a game suggestion, and I will do my best to get hold of them. In the meantime, I have been the Deadly Spud, and you have been watching Hey, Remember the Game?